Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our channel once again. Earlier today, the US Ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, visited Raila Odinga at his residence in Karen. And for me, that visit by Meg Whitman to Karen is significant political speaking for two main reasons. Number one, majority of Azimio supporters believes very strongly to date that Raila Odinga is not the president of the Republic of Kenya, because the American government didn't want him, and that Meg Whitman personally ensured that William Ruto was declared the president of the Republic of Kenya by going to Bomas and making a personal call to the former IBC chairperson, Wafula Chebukati. So her visit to Raila Odinga's residence is significant. Number two, for those who follow the politics of this country very closely, in August last year, during the devolution conference in Eldoret, the US ambassador heaped praises on William Ruto and the Kenya government. And Raila Odinga, in his typical fashion, responded to the ambassador ruthlessly. In fact, Raila Odinga referred to her as a rogue ambassador.
Let me unpack a couple of these areas. Democracy. I arrived in Kenya days before the August 22 general elections. What I witnessed was nothing short of remarkable. Kenya held what many analysts and commentators say was the freest, fairest, and most credible election in Kenyan history. The elections were observed by international and local election organizations, and the results were upheld by the Kenyan Supreme Court, and power was transferred orderly and peacefully at the time.
Finally, you want to tell a rogue ambassador, leave Kenyans alone. If Mandamano can lead to a dialogue between Ichungwa and Kalonzo, everything is good with Mandamano. Tell the rogue ambassador, Kenya is not United States. Kenya is not a colony of the United States. Keep your mouth shut when you hear. Otherwise, we will call for your recall back to your country. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
And despite that bitter exchange, the ambassador still saw it fit to go to Raila Odinga's residence. It is also very important to note that it is the ambassador who went to Raila Odinga's home, which also tells you something. And because in politics nothing happens out of mere coincidence, in this video I want to reveal to you guys the objective of Meg Whitman's visit to Raila Odinga's residence. But before you do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, allow me to dive in. Ladies and gentlemen, Raila Odinga and Mama Ida Odinga today hosted Meg Whitman, the US ambassador to Kenya, at their residence in Karen. And I was wondering, why would the ambassador decide to go and visit Raila Odinga? Not any other place, not even Capitol Hill, not even Serena or any other hotel, but right inside Raila Odinga's residence. Why would she do that? Number one, in my view, I strongly believe that the main objective of the visit is basically Raila Odinga's bid of becoming the next chair of the African Union Commission. The truth of the matter is that should Raila Odinga succeed to become the next chair of the Africa Union Commission, then it would mean Raila Odinga is going to be a very powerful individual in Africa. And because most of Azimio supporters believed and still believe that the US government blocked Raila Odinga from becoming the president of the Republic of Kenya because they feared that should Raila Odinga succeed, he was going to lean towards the BRICS. America want to secure their interest right now. So they want to sponsor Raila Odinga. They want to support Raila Odinga. Then once Raila Odinga becomes the president of Africa, for that matter, then they'll be able to call the shots. They'll say, tell him, remember, we supported you. Rather than if they were to oppose Raila Odinga today, and then Raila Odinga proceed to win. Because remember, a lot of dynamics are actually at play. Most of Africa heads of states currently are not keen on the US, because the US is trying to impose on some of them the issues to do with democracy, which most of them would not want. Russia, for example, the China are not interested in internal affairs of countries like the democracies and the rest. And of course, remember, we also have the Arab countries in Africa like Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, which will also be voting. So I believe that they shared Raila Odinga's interest of becoming the next chair of the next chair of the African Union Commission. Probably Raila Odinga told him his vision and mission. They also shared with Raila Odinga their vision and mission, and probably how they can help Raila Odinga secure the seat. Number two, and this is very important, the bipartisan talks. For those who remember, after the last election, Raila Odinga gave William Ruto some 4 conditions to meet. And that if Ruto were not going to meet those demands, he was going to call for demonstrations. As fate would have it, Raila Odinga called for demonstrations. And the country was actually on fire. And then at the peak of those demonstrations, one day, Raila Odinga just woke up and told Kenyans that he has called off the demonstrations. The truth of the matter is that Raila Odinga and William Ruto met somewhere in Mombasa. Up to now, nobody knows who brokered the deal. And then, slowly by slowly, we started hearing of the bipartisan talks. And I've always told you that the fact that William Ruto was passionately supporting the bipartisan talks, and the fact that Raila Odinga was also going towards that direction, despite the fact that majority of his new supporters were anti that bipartisan talks, it meant that there was an extra hand, a powerful hand behind that bipartisan talks. So that bipartisan talks is proposing a lot of things. But US government had a lot of interest in the office of the official opposition leader. And they wanted that seat to be held by none other than Raila Odinga. And now that Raila Odinga is going to the AU, who is going to play that particular role? Because you remember, William Ruto is a project of the US government. That is a fact. And because it's the product of, it's a project of the US government, there is no way the US government would want William Ruto to fail. They would want him to succeed. And for William Ruto to succeed, it means a lot of checks and balances has to be put in place. And one of the checks and balances is a strong opposition. So, I'm 100% certain that they discussed the issue of the bipartisan talks, because recently there has been this talk that Kenya Kwanza government were actually frustrating the implementation of the bipartisan talks. So I'll be keenly following what is going to happen to the bipartisan process after this particular meeting. Number 3, I also strongly believe that the US Ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, is trying to mend fences with Raila Odinga. Not only with Raila Odinga, but with Azimio support base. Because as the ambassador to the Republic of Kenya, she knows that Raila Odinga enjoys the support of majority of Kenyans. Even if not majority, let's say almost half of the country are for Raila Odinga. And now you are the ambassador, you are in a country where almost half of the country is not for you. As a human being, she is disturbed. So I believe that she wanted to try and mend fences, and that's why she decided to go to Raila Odinga's residence. Normally, when you go to someone's residence, it's different from when you go to office. Like if she had gone to the office, would have interpreted it to mean a courtesy call. But this is a case where she actually went to Raila Odinga's residence. And I know the way Mama Ida cooks, probably alikula sana. Number 4, I also believe that the visit has to do with everything about William Ruto's visit to the United States of America. Joe Biden has invited William Ruto to the United States of America for official state visit. William Ruto is going to be the first African head of state to be hosted by Joe Biden. State visit, mark that, since he took over. Of course, other heads of state have always gone there. Mandela went there, visited the US, but during Joe Biden's reign, William Ruto is going to be the first. And because that's a state visit and William Ruto is going to be the first head of state from Africa since Biden took over, it means the visit is significant. So probably the US would want the involvement of the official opposition leader, who is Raila Odinga, during the visit. I'll not be surprised. I will not be surprised to see Raila Odinga joining William Ruto in the United States of America. I'll not be surprised. I'll not. But the truth is probably, because this event is supposed to mark the 60th anniversary of Kenya-US diplomatic relations. So I'll not be surprised to see Raila Odinga joining the William Ruto in this particular trip, or probably the US government wanted Raila Odinga's input on some aspect. And lastly, it's about the US government interest in Kenya. There's something I've always told you, that US cannot just support you. They have their interest. Is Raila Odinga an impediment to their interest? Yes or no? So after placing Ruto in office, they must tame William Ruto. And for those who follow the politics keenly, there's a time Africa head of states were invited to Russia. William Ruto did not go to Russia. He was almost going, but he did not. It's because of the US interest. So they want to tame Ruto locally. As much as they control him, but they must also tame him locally. And Ruto can only be tamed by a strong opposition. And that strong opposition is none other than Raila Odinga. I'm 100% sure that wherever the US government is, or wherever they are communicating with William Ruto, their message is Raila Odinga. Ensure Raila Odinga's interest is catered for. And that's why you are not seeing William Ruto being harsh on Raila Odinga. It's because the American government is using Raila Odinga to serve both their interest and of course also to serve Raila Odinga's interest, the other side also William Ruto's interest. I don't know what you think. That's my take. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.